K-Tel presents Mini Pop 6, 22 of today's greatest hits, recorded by the Mini Pop Kids.
Hello and welcome to the very first What Am I Listening To and Why of 2026. This is episode 38, which is incredible. I hope everyone had a really good Christmas and New Year, and if you didn't, I couldn't really give a fuck. So there. This is not a show for the kids. I'm not reviewing stuff that's kind of like, here's what's out and here's what I think of it, because I'm far too old and can't really be bothered with all that. So what I do in this show, oh shit, new microphone, and I keep doing that. What I do in this show is I just look at some of the records I've been playing and give you my reaction to them as it comes and as it was in the last 6 records. And this is actually stuff I was listening to a little while ago because I've kind of got a lot to catch up with. So there you go. But let's get on with it, shall we? Record number 1.
The essentials of my soul, like flies I drop them.
Record number one is Magazine's Know Thyself from 2011. Magazine, like everybody else, is a Manchester, everything's from Manchester. Manchester legends featuring Howard Devoto, who was originally in the Buzzcocks in the late 70s, and then went across to be part of this. Or be the creator of this, as it were. This is their 5th LP, and it's the first one they made in 30 years. So they made this in 2011, and they hadn't made anything for 30 years. Previous to that, they'd had Correct Use of Soap, Secondhand Daylight, I can't remember the rest of them. Anyway, this to me is kind of the definition of the phrase post-punk. Very much post-punk. To me, this is the kind, not this album, but Magazine are kind of one of the great post-punk bands of all time, if not the greatest. I wasn't into post-punk when I was a punk. I was into punk, and I couldn't understand post-punk. It seemed too adult, too grown-up, and slightly too dark for me. I wanted the Undertones, the Buzzcocks, and kind of things like this. Things like this were a bit, but later on, not much later on, a few laters on, I really started to get into this kind of thing. Magazine were also, they had the legendary guitarist John McGeochen, who was kind of the great post-punk guitarist of all time, Scottish, not Manchester. He was in Susie and the Banshees, Public Image, and was he in The Cure? I don't know. Anyway, he passed in 2004, so he's not on this record, but fear not! The guitaring on this album is fucking great. So even though it's sad that John McGeoch is gone, the shoes have been filled by someone I should have looked up who it was, but I didn't. Magazine were one of the first bands I saw when the Secondhand Daylight tour, when they were supporting... they were supporting Simple Minds in their very early days when they had that Chelsea Girl record, and... what's his name? The lead singer looked like this. He really did with the bowl haircut. Yeah, this is brilliant. It's exactly what you want from a later Magazine record. Darkly catchy with no... I don't feel that they've lost any edge in this. This surpasses everything that I wanted it to be. It's got all the fucking... The Magazine tropes rolled over, those squelchy old 70s synths. Sometimes it sounds a bit like Pink Floyd and dark era Pink Floyd, and sometimes I hear Public Image. It's all kind of good stuff. The production is lush. The whole thing is kind of driven by a bass guitar a la kind of Killing Joke style. It doesn't sound like Killing Joke, but it's got that kind of bass Killing Joke thing. So I'd recommend this record highly. If you see it cheaply, even if you've got to pay full price, I'd go out and buy it. The great tracks are, God, I don't know the songs. Just play it all. I've played it like 5 times, and every time I play it, it sounds better. And play it in headphones, it sounds fucking amazing. So, Magazine, Know Thyself from 2011. I'll give it a start of the year, an 8. Record number 2 today is A Date with Elvis from the Cramps, which was 1986 and their third LP. Now, the Cramps, if you don't know them, are formed in the sort of mid-70s, and they were kind of husband and wife partnership, Lux Interior and Poison Ivy, his wife on guitar. And I'm just going to say for the moment, to me, Poison Ivy is possibly the sexiest woman in rock and roll ever. Maybe she does this thing which I call it's to fucking die for. Yeah, darkly trashy, kind of postmodern rockabilly, 50s style rockabilly with kind of horror movie sensibilities, and possibly created the genre psychobilly. It's that kind of thing, you know, often imitated by millions of bands that came after them, but they were the kind of originators of that. Imagine if you dug up Link Ray and just let him play as a as a corpse. It would be, you know, that would be it, really. Unfortunately, Lux Interior died in 2009, and that was the end of it. But the Cramps, for me, were really important because they combined a lack of ability and a lack of sort of technical ability, but still managed to create something truly fucking beautiful. And it also inspired me. I thought, well, I don't have to be fucking amazing to form a band. They were the band. A lot of people, the Sex Pistols and things like that, did that for them, but the Sex Pistols was too much for me. But I found that the Cramps I could kind of do. So they were really important to me. They were bad music for bad people, was their kind of catchphrase. A lot of their records didn't have bass guitar, but I think this one does, but I'm not entirely sure. It's a brilliant reappropriation of the Elvis album title. They don't even have to change it to make it kind of horrible. I've never really heard a Cramps album I didn't like. I kind of like them all, so this is just one of them. I haven't heard, you know, there isn't a Cramps, you know, I think you could start anywhere, but this is quite a good place to start because the production's not too painful. This is one of their most commercial and popular LPs, you know, so it's a good starting place. I started with an album called Smell of Female, which was a live album from, I don't know, much earlier live album. And sound-wise, the Smell of Female makes this sounds like Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits. Don't forget the humor. There's a lot of humor in this. This whole thing is done with a fucking nod and a wink. The Cramps are a band who had one brilliant idea, one great idea, and they stuck with that doggedly, and they plowed that fucking trough all the way through from start to finish. And if you've got just one great idea, I think you can do that. And the Cramps did have that, and that's what they did, and that's why I love them. I would recommend this album. They're not ashamed to write sexualized songs with double entendre. They're not even double entendre lyrics, they're just entendre lyrics. I've written down some of the songs here, but no, I won't bother with that. It's great. Enjoy it. Don't take it too seriously, and then move on to something else. I would give it most enjoyable, low quality, bad music for bad people 7. Record number 3 is Juluka with their 1982 fourth LP, apparently, Scatterlings of Africa, it's got such a I keep doing that with the mic. It's got such a place in my heart, but I understand if a lot of people don't like it. Juluka were formed by Johnny Clegg and a lot of African guys, and I can't say their names, so I'm just going to say Johnny Clegg and pals, because I don't want to get their names are like, I don't want to get it all wrong and end up in that particular hot war. A multiracial band. Johnny Clegg was white, and the rest of his band members were black guys, and they were formed in South Africa in the 70s, and that at that time, that was a multiracial band was just a complete fucking no-no. This was probably the first kind of world music. Wow, I hate that phrase, but it was probably the first kind of world music thing I ever heard, because in the mid-80s, Grampian TV, which is a local TV station here in Scotland, or was, used to play the video for Scatterlings of Africa all the time, in between programs for about a year. And I just used to, in the afternoon it would come on, and I just fucking loved it. I loved the dancing and I loved the fucking drums. I just thought it was fucking great, and I still do. And that's the title track of this album, Scatterlings of Africa. Unfortunately, nothing else on the album really lives up to being as good as that opening track, and there's a bit too much flute and a bit too much fucking saxophone for my liking. It's not an overly political LP, because you just couldn't do that. But the fact that the record exists is a sort of political act in itself. It was incredibly hard for them because they couldn't do anything, because they were banned in South Africa playing a lot of the times because they were mixed race. So they were banned playing in South Africa, and they were also banned playing out of South Africa because of the apartheid thing. So, I mean, what a fucking nightmare. The song Scatterings of Africa, between me and my friends in the band, became quite a funny thing, because we used to be right stoners, and we used to talk about anything that was lying around was the scatterings of Africa. It was like, you need to tidy up the scatterings of Africa before we came. The drum box with the stand became the scatterings of Africa. A pile of cups on a table were the scatterings of Africa. And then I found out recently, when I bought this record, that it's not the scatterings, it's the scatterlings. Boy, did I feel silly. The Scatterlings of Africa. But I love it, but I wouldn't recommend it to you. I would say, don't get this album. Get a Juluka best of, because a lot of this is just, not that great. But when it's great, it is great. Johnny Clegg, who I would say is a magical character, a magical man in juggling trousers. Johnny Clegg died in 2019, and he was given a Zulu funeral, as he should, because he was a legend in his lifetime. Activism, fucking music, and just basically doing the fucking right thing. And there's not enough people in the world like that, and all power to him. So yes, Scatterlings of Africa. I would say, don't buy this one. Buy a retrospective fucking collection, especially if it's got the song Impy on it, which is a political song. Get a best of and not this. But I'm still going to give it a personal 6.
Let's take a ride to the drive-thru. It's not just a taste, it's the value. Burger and fries on the menu.
Record number 4 comes from Wales. This is Goldie Looking Chains, Kings of Caerleon. I don't know. It's Caerleon. It's probably a Welsh place and a play on the name Kings of Leon sort of thing. This is Goldie Looking Chains' 17th LP. Yeah, 17th LP. They've actually made 24 albums, of which this is the 17th, which I think is fucking incredible. If you don't know Goldie Looking Chain, they are a sort of Welsh comedy, hip-hop, rap kind of group. They kind of fuse the sort of hip-hop, rap, and Ned culture together, and it's a kind of comedy thing, and they make lots of funny videos and all that kind of stuff. They were part of something called, Cool Cymru, at the start. They've got about 14 or 15 members, so I'm not going to fucking go through all that. Just rest assured that there are millions of them. Now, I used to like them round about 2004, 5, 6, and we used to, on Old Jock Radio, if you know what that is, we used to play their stuff quite a lot because they were very fucking funny. What was the tracks? The one we used to play. Guns Don't Kill People, Rappers Do was another one. Your Missus is a Nutter and stuff like that. It was funny, and it was good for a sort of comedy radio station to play. But 17 albums in, I mean, I'm not sure what they're doing on this album that they haven't done on the previous 16. I mean, I'm a fan of a repetitive joke, but I don't know I don't know. It's really hard to do comedy music and make it something that you want to revisit. I'm well aware of that. And the sad thing about this is there's some really fucking great sounds. I like old school hip hop. I really do. And they do a lot of old school hip hop music and loops and bang, and that's all good. But it's just the fucking kind of comedy aspect over the top that makes me not want to listen to it again, because it kind of, you know, I mean, I've done my best listening to this. I don't want to be fucking cruel about it. But I'm not sure who this is for, because anyone who likes them has heard this, you know, like I say, there's nothing not new on it. But at the end of the day, I mean, good luck to them. If they can keep fucking doing it, then that's great. I actually did a gig with them in the south of France in about 2005, and I watched them and I thought, well, that's the end of them. You know, I thought they had their fucking day, but I was completely wrong. Somehow they're still doing it, and, you know, good. I'm glad they're still doing it, and I hope they're making a decent kind of, I hope they're making a decent living at it. But as for me, I don't really want to revisit it at all. To me, the best track on this is an instrumental at the end called "Taking the Bins Out," because it doesn't have the comedy element, and I can enjoy it. I can't see anyone who would want to still be playing this, and so with regret, because I do, you know, I don't want to hurt these guys, but with regret, it's a 3.
That's when, yeah, it's gonna be a showdown. Yeah, it's gonna be a showdown. All right, down.
Record number 5, another oldie but a goldie, is the New York Dolls' second LP, Too Much Too Soon, which came out in 1974. Now, New York Dolls, as you probably know, the kind of godfathers of punk, along with Iggy Pop, MC5, and all that kind of stuff. And I would hear their name, when I was a kid, I would hear their name mentioned in interviews with the people that I liked, like the Clash and the Pistols and the Grumbleweeds. I'd hear their name mentioned, and I never really checked them out. And then I checked them out a little bit later, and I thought it was like sort of drag Rolling Stones, which in a sense, you know, it kind of is. Unfortunately, they're all dead now. Who would have thought that fucking Iggy Pop would outlive all his peers? That's amazing. They made a cracking first LP. I can't remember if that's just called New York Dolls. I can't remember. They made a great first kind of LP where they set out their kind of glam punk stall 3-4 years before anybody else did. And they influenced everybody on both sides of the pond. This, I'm afraid, people are not going to agree with me, this is a little bit of a reheat. It's got like 4 cover versions on it and a couple of demos, so I don't know if they were running out of steam here or what, but I don't think it's as good as their first album. The first album was produced by Todd Rundgren. This isn't. I should have looked up who did produce it, but it's got a better sound, a more lush, you know, fuller sound. But is it better? I don't think it is. I still like it, but it's all right. I've played it a few times, and by the time it gets to the end, I am kind of I've kind of had enough. It went straight in the charts at number 167, straight the fuck back out again. But then again, all the legendary bands kind of do. All the people who are first up, you know, they don't get any of the money, but they get the reflected kind of glory years later when it's absolutely no use to them. Johnny Thunders, obviously the guitarist in here. I don't think Johnny Thunders is any good unless he's actually in the New York Dolls. A lot of stuff I hear later on is a bit rough. At the end of the day, it's kind of a one sort of trick pony. I'm not sure where it would have gone if it had carried on. I don't know if it would have got better or not. They reformed in 2009 and made some LPs, but they were kind of, they were okay, but they weren't, you know, it's hard to live up to when you've been that and then to do it all kind of 30, 40 years later. However, it has some good songs. Mystery Girls is good. You probably know that one. Babylon, Puss in Boots. They're all good, but it's, as I say, it's a little bit of a reheat. Don't overplay it. If you play it every now and again, you will kind of enjoy it. I'd say, yeah, it's fun while it lasted. Have a listen to it whilst wearing your mum's blouse. I give it a 6.
Wake up and make love with me. Wake up and make love. Wake up and make love with me. I don't wanna make you. I'll let the fancy take you and you'll wake up.
Last but not least, today is the number 6 record, Ian Dury and the Blockheads. This is his 1977 debut album, New Boots and Panties. Ian Dury sort of coming out of the punk era at that time, but really not kind of punk at all. Ian Dury was 35 when he made that. That's his son Baxter Dury in that cover. Ian Dury was 35 when this came out, so he was a good, seriously quite a lot older than everybody else in the game at the time. He was previously part of the kind of pub rock scene and all that kind of stuff. He had a band called Kilburn and the High Roads, which had been punting around for a while, but never really took off. It wasn't until he got with a guy called Chaz Jankel, and they became a kind of songwriting partnership. He kind of did the music, and Ian Dury did this kind of poetry, spoken word, catchy thing over the top of it. And it was a sort of combination of funky with a touch of new wave and the sharp lyrics. And when he did that, everything kind of fused brilliantly, and it turned out to be a fucking giant success for him. Thank God it was, because I don't know what would have happened to him at that point if it hadn't have been. Now, Ian Dury, I'm not sure if he was a very nice guy. I've read a lot of stuff about him, which is highly questionable about his personality and stuff. I think he saw himself as being a little bit above everything that was going on at the time. I always remember seeing in the charity concert for Campuchia. It might have been, but I remember when he had Mick Jones from the Clash came on to play on Sweet Gene Vincent, and I remember Ian Dury saying to him, "This one's got 4 chords, yeah, Mick." I'll try and find that clip, but I do remember that as being cheeky bugger.
Hey, Mickey Jones from the Clash is Mick. Now listen, we got 4 chords in this song, Michael.
The Blockheads are still going, a bit like From the Jam, with no original members. I don't know why bands do that, but there you go. Anyway, there was a big vaudeville element to what they did, because Ian couldn't sing, but he could. He was a superb frontman, and he was a very funny writer of lyrics. This is easily their best LP by miles. They never bettered this. It was all kind of diminishing returns after this, I believe. There was some good singles. Hit Me With Your Rhythm Stick. What was the other one? Reasons to Be Cheerful. I mean, they were good, but it was not. It's not on the level of this. There isn't a bad song on this, perhaps. I'd get rid of Blackmail Man. I think that's a bit rubbish. I think that's him trying to sound punk, but it doesn't really happen. Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll wasn't originally on it. It's only on the represses. That's fantastic, obviously. Sweet Gene Vincent, Wake Up and Make Love With Me. They're all great. There's a little bit of filler, but not much. Ian unfortunately died in the year 2000. And listening to this now, as much as I love it, I can't believe that it was a success in 1977, because it's definitely not of the zeitgeist, but kind of its own thing, which is fantastic. I love this record very much, and I will continue to play it every now and again. So I'm going to give it very much a apples and pears. I'm trying to think of Trouble and Strife. 7. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to make this, but I couldn't be arsed over Christmas. So hopefully I'll bring you a new one in a couple of weeks. And if you like it, if you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share around. You know what to do. Let's make this 2026 the year of what am I listening to and why. I'll see you soon. Love you. You can go now.